left, right.
What's up, my friends? You are in for a treat. In this episode of SipTalk, we discuss social media and the detriment on society, especially kids, middle schoolers. I think you're going to agree with a lot of us. If we miss anything, let me know in the comments. And if you disagree, also let me know in the comments. I'll see you on the other end. This is SipTalk. Grab a drink and enjoy.
Press this go.
Cheers.
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 Hopefully this beer is not flat. It did not have a crisp opening. I don't know if you caught that. This is Sip Talk. I hope my first sip is a good one today. Episode 188. Your host, Justin DiGiulio, joined by James, the Boswell Boswell. James is a philosopher, a professional referee, a bartender, and most exciting of all, an accountant. Looks like we are live. So if you guys today want to join in, share your opinions, you can use the link on my Instagram page to call in, or you can just comment on whatever platform you're watching us, and we will see your comments and reply. Thank you guys for joining. Today, we are talking about what would you title this episode? Actually, I'd like the title "A Filtered Reality," but how would you kind of distill that to kind of explain a little more what we're talking about?
I mean, you talking about kind of like the second title?
Effectively, yeah.
Yeah, so like a filtered reality. Instagram, Instagram celebrities, body dysmorphia, and how you view yourself in the world.
And I think that you mentioned this topic last week, and I said, you know what, that's a really good topic, but I didn't realize it is like super prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, the more I started thinking about it, everything is filtered. I actually, before we started the cast, I did a selfie, like a reverse facing camera to my face. Did a picture of myself with the regular camera, um, Instagram camera, Twitter camera, uh, all the different social media platforms. And my face wasn't even the same shape from one platform to the other. And I didn't move the camera, and I kept my face in exactly the same range on the camera. I look completely different depending on the platform. However, this is the weird part: is it was the same hardware, it's the same camera.
Yeah, well, so what I would have to wonder is the software in each of these different apps that you took. I wonder if there's like settings that you can disable that would make it so that the picture comes through the same. If there's settings that are just kind of on by default that you don't even know about.
Uh, I'm not sure, but I know there are a lot of settings that if you want, this is not quite related to the topic, but there are settings that if you want to, you can adjust. Somebody mentioned this the other day about Twitter. There's a star on the top right corner of the page, and it allows you to arrange your timeline not by the regular algorithm, but by most recent. And I don't spend a lot of time scrolling through social media, but I did open up Twitter after I heard this, and I changed it to most recent, and then I got really bored really quick. I scrolled a couple pages down. I was like, yeah, this is very boring. I'm not interested in this.
Well, you know
And
where
it felt good. It felt good. I didn't feel like I was sucked in.
you know where I'd like to start with this is like acknowledging that this isn't a recent phenomenon and differentiating why what's going on now it is, I think, so much worse than what we had kind of been willing to accept as a society. Well, why can I not say society? There we go.
Have you been drinking before we? What
No.
are you drinking, by the way?
Milwaukee's Best Ice, 5.9%, and probably about 60 cents a can.
Oh man, I got a Michelob Ultra. It's 4.2%. So you've got me.
So if you look at any kind of fashion modeling, or really just any modeling whatsoever, the idea of altering photos to make the people in those photos look more attractive has been around for a long time, easily 50 years. And when you hear about some of the tools that you hear, like the Airbrush tool in Photoshop,
Hmm.
that comes from like a real tool that was used of an airbrush that would actually like physically smooth out the ink
Yeah.
to like deal with any blotches or anything. So like the airbrush was a physical tool that they used on the photo prints.
Yeah.
Um,
That was recreated digitally so you can
yeah,
use
and
it on.
so you had that kind of level of like physical manipulation of photos to make things look better for modeling prints. Then Photoshop came out, and the pattern I'm saying is that it gets progressively easier to modify these pictures. Before, you needed to have a whole bunch of like professional level tools to be able to modify a picture because you'd have to take a roll of film to a place to have it get developed, and
Well, there was
like
some
then
amount of skill to it. There was some
oh
amount of actual, like you had to know something to do it nowadays. And I know you're not
yeah,
a.
yeah. So that's where I'm going as well, is that
Okay.
you go from an extremely high level of skill and barrier of entry to even be able to start doing it. Now Photoshop comes out. Now the barrier to entry is a lot lower, but as anyone who's used Photoshop can tell you, it's not a very easy program to use if you haven't taken a class in it, if you haven't watched videos about how to do it. Just like give someone who's never used it before the full program and have them upload a photo into it. They're not going to do very much because it's a really powerful program, but it's not easy.
Yeah, no, I've played around with Photoshop and I've tried to do some photo editing. It is very, very difficult. I ended up hiring somebody to do it
Yeah,
because
and
I wasn't
so it's a
myself.
skill that you need to acquire, and you have to take classes or watch videos or read material about how to use all the tools in it. Once you do, you can do incredible things with it. So the barrier to entry was lower because you didn't need to have a studio where you could just like print and physically airbrush pictures, but you still needed to know what you were doing. And then Snapchat chat was kind of the innovator in this one in terms of making some of these photo editing tools available within the app. And sure, they're much more limited than what Photoshop can do, but they are so much easier.
But it's also, and here's what I was saying a minute ago is that you don't you I know you're not a huge social media platform user, but you can go into these, and while you are limited in terms of like you can't do anything, however, if you were just trying to do something, you'd be basically creating fresh art, right? If you had a picture of your face and you went into Photoshop, you'd be like kind of playing jazz to a degree. You'd have an idea in your mind what you wanted, but you'd be trying to attain that. With Snapchat, you can click on the filter, and it gives you multiple filters, and you have multiple versions of your face and multiple versions of your body for you to choose from.
Yeah. And
So
I've also seen like, and I don't know if it's Snapchat or Instagram. Real quick, we should say hi to Maria, who's joining us and would love to get anybody's opinion on all these filters as we go on through this topic. Like, I want to hear what you have to say, and I want to be able to respond to it. So please weigh in. But I've looked and I don't know if it's Instagram, but like you can have on your phone, and like you can kind of just like squeeze or expand in certain areas to like change dimensions of your body, and that's something that yes you could do in Photoshop, but in order to do it in Photoshop, it would require you to know what you're doing.
yeah,
Whereas with this, it's as simple as just like putting
you,
your finger on your phone and
you
moving it
tap.
around.
Yeah, you tap which one you want, and then you can tap how much you want it. So you can
Yeah.
you can adjust the intensity of the
So
filter.
so I think there's two things here. One is that Photoshop was an expensive program and it was difficult to use. Snapchat's free and it's easy to use. There are probably a million times more people that use Snapchat regularly than people that use Photoshop regularly.
I would agree with that metric.
Like I don't know what the actual numbers are, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was pretty close to that. So
Yeah,
you've got this photo editing thing that is, and also it's designed to create, like, to be able to make it very easy for you to rapidly release these pictures that you've just edited.
so let me just
It's
quote
it's
real
it's
quick.
it's both the editing platform and also the distribution platform. Because if you modify a picture in Photoshop, now you've got this image saved on your hard drive. You still need to put it somewhere. Whereas
The
Snapchat allows you to put it somewhere. Instagram is here you go. It's right, like the studio and the art exhibition
in
are in
one,
the same building.
and it's also free. Uh,
Yes.
so look, I want to quote this Psychology Today article real quick and kind of talk about how and get into where we're going with this and why it's becoming an issue. So I heard for the first time the phrase Snapchat dysmorphia, and it says that it can be argued that these apps are making us lose touch with reality because we expect to look perfect and perfectly primed and filtered in real life. And and I think that's where people are having this almost body dysmorphia, this body image dysmorphia, but it's not all up in their head because there's something actual, tangible, and real that they, well, effectively real, but there's something that they can look at. And this is also from the Psychology Today article about why filters and masks are so detrimental. Because in the past, those perfect bodies and the smooth skin, they were reserved for celebrities. The covers of magazines, the pages of magazines, for poster, the big
Yeah.
billboards, and
Can I throw
people.
one thing out there real quick?
Let me just finish my sentence here. Is that
Sure.
people subconsciously saw these celebrities and they saw these images and these billboards, and subconsciously there was an almost unattainable level, right? There was this person's life is about being, at a professional level. They have to have a regimen diet, exercise, and they also have a team for hair, makeup, wardrobe, etc., etc. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, that's actually pretty close to what I was going to say, which is that like I used to kind of defend those type of ads where they'd put someone that was just insanely beautiful in print or whatever, and I would say that's okay because people should be able to recognize that that's the 0.001% of people, and like if it's your only job to be beautiful, then of course you're going to be beautiful. But
But also, they're not beautiful all the time,
no.
right? That's they're not beautiful all the time, and we see this the distance between the everyman and the every lady, and the Billboard magazine movie star is huge.
Mhm.
But and those select number of people, they also struggle. The celebrities struggle to keep up with their diet and exercise regimen, but they also probably have more time, and that's what their job is based on, right?
Well,
Like
yeah,
my
for
job is
for
based
some
on being
models, your only job is just keep yourself in good shape.
yeah. I have to get in the car and drive to my job and do work and deal a lot of times with shit I don't want to be dealing with. Um,
Right,
but
and what they have to deal with is like exercising and having a limited diet and having to like be, and I wouldn't even say healthy because some of them aren't living a healthy lifestyle, but like your 8 hours a day is grinding in a real estate office. My 8 hours a day is grinding with mortgages. Their 8 hours a day is grinding with their body.
or temptation to like eat some Oreos and
Right.
it just but that's what they're fighting off all day long. Where I'm
Hmm.
fighting, I'm swinging swords against the bullshit that's slung at me. Um, they're dealing with whatever it is that they're dealing with. Oh, we just had an overheat. This phone just overheated this second.
So yeah, Jessica Majewski says I like to be different, and that's a great trait to have. But the problem with these filters is that you've got like since these filters all kind of run on the same algorithm, they tend to create this kind of homogenized image of what people what their results are. So you get a lot of people that say, "Well, that's what I should be aiming for," and like the program trends towards a certain type of look,
But
specifically with like the smooth skin and the big eyes, which when we get to the images that I collected at the bottom, which I might want us to dive into that in the middle so that we have something to talk about.
yeah, well, I mean, we can.
You'll see that like there's a lot of similarities from image to image.
Well, that's very true. There is a lot of similarities. They're using similar technology and similar filters, first of all, but I think it's this. Back in the day, you were striving for something that was almost unattainable, but at least you had a goal. And I also defended, the person's in too good of shape, but they're on billboards. Well, yes, because there's one of them, and that's what their job is, and that's kind of the goal. We shouldn't lower the goals, right? But then you had, and this is vastly not the case where you have the model who has. I would say the vast majority of models do not have hardcore, serious eating disorders. I think they probably trend more than the regular pool of public, but I don't think that the majority of our models are dropping out of the business because they can't keep their weight up.
Here's the analogy that I would give is like when you compare beauty to like let's say some kind of a sports thing. So What's the fastest you've ever run a mile?
I don't know, 5:05 maybe.
Okay, so your 5:05 mile. If you compare yourself to an Olympic marathon runner, they're running 4:45s 26 times in a row.
I think they're running
And
less.
so, like, you comparing yourself to a model that's on a billboard is like you comparing your fastest mile to an Olympic marathon runner.
Well,
It's not a fair fight. One person has, one, the genetics that gave them that capability, and two, has spent their entire life training to be able to do that.
but the argument against that is, that people are developing eating disorders. But the thing is, you have to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah, and
Just like
some runners are developing plantar fasciitis by running too much.
in football players, with brain injuries, and and boxers with concussions and things like
Yeah.
that. There's an inherent risk in doing these excellent things. We talked about this when we talked about the Olympics at these peak levels. But I don't. But I think you and I were going in this direction, saying that now we want to just see plus size models all over the place. I think it's a little strange.
I think that I don't think that what we're talking about is really the modeling industry per se. It's the fact that you've disseminated this technology completely, like, not unedited, like completely unlimited, and given it to people that aren't going, like, not to say that the modeling industry has used it responsibly, but when you give it to people that have no idea what they're doing or already have insecurities, and you give them this technology that allows them to paint over all their insecurities and then exaggerate what they want to look like, it's going to create a completely different ecosystem than it being relegated to just commercial print advertising.
So I talked a little bit about plastic surgery. Should we get into that real quick, or should you want to go in a different direction?
What do you think about doing the screen share of some of these images, and we can just go through them real quick so that people can see what we're talking about,
Okay. Well, this is going to be
and then we can go from there.
all right. So I'll do a little screen share here. I gotta just minimize our private chat, which none of you are privy to. And let's open this up. SipTalk ideas. And then now I gotta find the freaking window. All right. This one starts with thighs for days and calves for minutes. All right. Here we go. All right. Are you in on that? You can see that on your.
Yep, it's coming up.
Okay.
So yeah, just look at that. That's not.
Well, I think the thing about this is that it's obviously somebody is trying to. They've done something to this photo, but I actually give a little benefit of the doubt to the fact that there's a good chance that it was also just a bad camera angle. But this one also doesn't. I don't know exactly what it is they're doing to like make this edited. I think it could.
Well, obviously they've lengthened from the knee up, and they have extremely long legs, but like.
But not long calves. So I'm going to start.
Right.
I'm going to start actually back in the beginning here, and this is still loading. All right.
Yeah. So, and make sure to click the arrow so you can see like the before and the after.
So I'm guessing this is the Instagram post here,
Mm-hmm.
and then no, that's not real.
No, it is.
I don't believe that. Is that real?
It's the same person.
Yeah, with this hat on.
Look at the first one. Oh yeah, there's no hat on the first one.
Yeah, no,
But-
no. That's the
All right,
thing.
go to
but,
the next one.
All right, all right, let's. So the thing is, this is Reddit, and finding the credibility of some of these, all these freaking.
Yeah, but that one might not be the best example. This one's really good.
This one's good, yeah, because she shows the different filters.
Yeah.
I was just gonna freaking load here. We get a lot.
So
Yeah.
like what you're seeing in the beginning here, this is, yeah, hit play and see if that works. There we go.
Watch it. The waistline. Wow. No, I think that's French. Rash can tell us what that
Yeah.
said. But you see as she walks up, I thought it looked very natural. I would never have known that there was a filter on it, either
Yeah.
way, face or body.
No. That's the one that's so crazy is like the moment that it transforms, you're like, oh man, I like that one. You would have had a hard time being able to tell there's a filter, but
Yeah, that is.
And that's like we talked about Insidious, and this is an
Well,
example
yeah,
of the filters that are insidious.
yeah, and the thing is, it starts small, but it's becoming an issue, and that's I think ultimately we're going to get to kind of the mental health aspect of this.
Yeah, go to
But
the next one.
all right, let's see, what do we have here? These are all things that James dug up today, by the way, all on Reddit. I mean, this is just not like that's something somebody did just to like fuck with somebody. Uh, but it goes to show you that just everything you see online may not necessarily be reality, and you
Yeah,
can.
I wanted to pick one male one just so that way we're not like picking on women the entire time. This one,
I don't
yeah,
even understand what the deal with this girl is. Like, there's three pictures. I'm guessing the second picture is. God,
but none of that's real. Like look at and but that's the image that she
there's a
wants
real,
to.
yeah, that's a real person who has some weird filter. I don't understand the significance of this second picture. Is she one of the girls?
I think so. I don't know
I
which
would assume
one.
is kind of what they're trying to say here, is that this is one of the girls. But
Yeah,
I mean, from even the third picture here, this one looks like a little more human-like. Um, but it is,
but look at how like first of all the proportions are completely wrong. Like her legs are way too much of her body. Everything is super thin to the point where like she would probably need to be hospitalized. And then like go back to the picture of the four girls that like unfiltered.
yeah, and these are
And
four
like
different body types.
yeah, but none of them are even remotely close to what those pictures were.
So I want to talk real quick about the uncanny valley. So for those, we brought this up before. I think maybe when we talked about robots or something. But the uncanny valley is more a concept, but it's this unsettling feeling when you see a robot, or even like a not a cartoon, but like a 3D image that looks very human-like, but there's something that it's not real.
Well,
So
the
it
uncanny
might
valley is that like if there's things that are very far away from looking human, they don't make us uncomfortable because we don't they're not human. We're cool with that. As they get closer and closer to being human, we start to like them a little bit more because they exhibit some traits that we can identify with. But when they get too close to human but are still discernibly not human, we all of a sudden have this reversion effect.
Yeah, where we get really like when you see the. I actually have some images. We go back to the Reddit. So I have this image of uh, like these are all images that are fake robot faces, and they look freaky. Like this one with the little white face with the realistic looking eyeballs behind it.
Yeah.
That looks creepy as hell, and that's the least human looking, right? And then the one of the girl in the center here, actually, that's not a real person. It's computer generated, but it's a little weird, and that's where we're saying
Because
the
it's
uncanny valley is.
close but not right, and like there's something inside of us that says there's something wrong here, and it's hard to identify
But
exactly
this is
what, but I don't like it.
so. What I'm getting at though is that when you have something that is non-human approaching human, is typically what we call the uncanny valley. But now we have humans which are kind of appearing less human
Yeah,
because they're doing this. They're doing this
yeah,
crazy.
that like I think the first one looks even more creepy than that one.
Well, the first one looked, yeah, because it's supposed to look like a clown or something. Like, I don't even understand.
Yeah, and like yeah, that's the uncanny valley because it looks also look at how big the shoes are in comparison to everything else.
Yeah, they're also dirty.
Like
Why
and
is she wearing dirty
I
shoes?
don't know. Let's go to the next one.
All right, so now let's see what's next here. Oh, so you got these.
So this is the example of like the big eyes and smooth skin thing.
Yeah, yeah. I want to talk about that too. Don't let me forget to talk about Japan. But so this is the real girl, and what they're saying is this local influencer insists she only lightly edits her Instagram pictures. However, she continues to make TV appearances in which she looks like this. So when your Instagram looks like this, and you really look like this, and the thing is,
Like on the left, it actually looks like they just like slapped a face on like a blank body. Like they took like almost like a cartoon face and put it on a body.
yeah, I mean, it also looks like there's a bit of um, like she's had some actual like Botox or something done to her face in reality.
Yeah.
All right, let's this is still freaking out. What
Next.
is this one? Yeah, I got to remember what this one was. Oh, so
Oh,
this is your great example of a filter. Is this girl's face? I got to recenter it here so you can.
yeah, but no, this is a good one because this is a person trying to expose what these things do.
Yeah, but she also cakes. It's crazy to see sometimes. But makeup is also like in that field. Like people put makeup on and it can look really freaky. So this girl does a half and half where she's got that filter on, and you can see her skin is not great at all. Even when she puts the foundation on, she still, she's a little bumpy. But with the filter, it is
Look at
perfect.
her eye.
Yeah, the left eye. The left eye is the one that I was like, is she gonna put in a contact lens to try to do it? But you see the amount of makeup she puts on, and yet the filter, no matter what, you know,
Yeah, but
still looks
I
better
think
even after she puts all the makeup on.
I don't have an issue with the makeup. It's just like you can see how much the filter affects it, especially like the bright and larger eye to
Well,
me
but
is
here's
what
the
really
issue.
sticks out.
Here's the issue with the makeup, though, is when you believe that you need to look like the image on the left, then you start having to walk out the door always like with all the makeup on the face. And I mean, the girl does a really good job in um,
Yeah, it forces people to think that this is what's normal when it's not.
well, that's the thing is you see so much of it. I think I got two more that you sent over.
Yeah.
I gotta close some of these windows because it's I have so many freaking windows open. We got to do the freaking biceps. We got the creepy looking cartoony clown lady. All right. Okay. Here's the one we were just opening. Now, this is Instagram. Let's see. Just got to scroll up so it fits on the screen here.
And
So this,
again, you see the unnaturally smooth like skin, the
yeah,
giant bright eyes.
yeah. The eyes are the one thing that look a little weird, and also she's got big cheekbones. That's not. No, I don't believe that. It's maybe the same person, but I'd like to see the real. But they're saying it's the same person.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know who it is, but she's also
No,
making a face. So they're not. The thing is,
no, and there's some lighting and angles, but it's clear that like there's no relation between the two.
and then you get your thighs for days here.
Yeah. And so I just keep on coming back to the eyes. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
did
this
you
one.
see this picture? You saw this picture?
Mm-hmm.
I made this a little smaller so it fits on the screen here. But the point that they're making is that these girls have basically the same face, right? And
Yeah, but also there's no way that like you can't be that thin.
but look at their eyes, dude. They all have these kind of like wider eyes. There's something about the eyes that looks really weird. Um, so in 2015, I went to Japan for New Year's, and I passed a few arcades. And the arcades were like, arcades are crazy, but arcades in Japan extra crazy, and also full of like very strange uh, foreign sounds that just you wouldn't hear from like regular American video games. And let me stop the screen share here. And there was a couple of them that had these lines of girls lined up out of the arcade down the sidewalk. And I thought that was very strange. One, any line into an arcade. And then two, you typically don't see women or girls lined up outside of arcades.
They
Video games
generally appear more to males.
generally, yeah, don't go to those places. So you know, ultimately, I wanted to wander in and get to the bottom of what was at the front of this line, and it was a photo booth. And in the photo booth, these girls were sitting in there, and then what it would do is it would let you tweak the eyes and the face a little bit, and give yourself much bigger eyes and kind of a more like narrow face. And this was pre-face filters. It was actually I found out that filters became popular in Snapchat. I guess they had an option called lenses, and that came out in 2015 as well, which I imagine then led to the decline of these crazy photo booths because then
Yeah.
everybody had that technology. technology mobile, and they didn't have print, and it would also email you the digital versions of the pictures. So basically what these girls were doing is they were getting the photo booth and then getting digital copies of these pictures so they could post on their
Yeah,
Instagram.
it was Instagram filters before they existed.
Yeah, really, really wild.
Um, okay, so we've kind of seen examples of the problem. We've talked about why this is worse than what the modeling industry was doing. Um, I want to throw out a couple quick statistics about like the effects that these have, especially on young women, but like just in general. So, like from the Newport Institute, they did a survey, and one of the questions, like 94% of participants felt under pressure to look a certain way, and more than half said that the pressure was intense. 70% said they felt pressure to showcase a perfect life. 86% said that their social media representations of themselves didn't reflect their real life, and 80% of young girls have downloaded a filter or used an app to change the way they look in photos by the age of 13.
The age of 13. Dude, the, I think the issue is when you juxtapose in your mind how you look in real life and how you look online and how everybody else looks online. And we spend a lot of time online these days. And I think, I'm sure there's a certain percentage of people that believe that's really who they are, right? Like they actually believe that that's how they look. There's something weird happening in the brain.
Well,
But
that would be like a true body dysmorphia
that,
disorder.
yeah, exactly. Um, but also on a psychological level, like they believe that like that's who they should be or something like that, um, and that the people that don't see them like that are actually the ones with issues. But I don't. I think the vast majority of people know deep down inside, and they just know kind of a surface level they don't look like that, and that creates a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression because it's
Well,
completely unattainable.
I think part of the problem is that when, especially for young girls, they might know that the pictures that they take of themselves aren't and filter them and post them aren't an accurate representation. They feel like that, and I'm gonna make two kind of a few key assumptions here, which may not be correct, but I just need to make them for this narrative to work. Is that like a lot of young girls are trying to impress boys that are about their age, and so they know that boys their age are looking at filtered pictures of other girls, and so for them to be able to compete and get attention, they need to do this as well.
I, you know,
And
but my thinking on that point exactly was how could you not? How could you not be posting pictures of yourself with a filter when everybody else is, and you're not picture perfect? Because that's what a filter does. It makes you picture perfect.
because if you unless you know somebody in person, like these girls are looking at pictures that other girls are posting
Well, not just
and
girls. You can't forget. You can't leave out guys as well. Now, obviously, not
yeah,
all
but it's
guys
it's
look
it's
to impress.
worse with young girls.
That's very true.
So they're looking at pictures that other people are posting, and just like that video of the girl walking up to the mirror and like the filter turns off halfway through, like the more subtle filters still do a job of making someone look different than they are and usually more attractive than they are, and like it can be really hard to tell. So they might think everybody else I know looks like this. I don't.
But
When in
that's
reality, none of their friends look like that.
exactly,
But
and that's where you have this emotional duress. You have real issues. Oh, you gotta
Justin,
unsync
your
your.
audio is cut.
I'm aware. Rosh will tell you what happened. Rosh can hear me. You're gonna have to reset your audio. Rosh, can you tell him to reset his audio because I just turned on my mic, which I didn't have before. Rosh, you got to tell James this. Sorry, guys, have a couple of technical issues
All
on
right,
our
well,
end.
we're waiting a minute for Justin to fix
Oh
his
God.
audio because we haven't heard from him in 45 seconds. Um, but yeah, so my overall point is that you're you've got all these girls that might not be able to have the maturity or knowledge yet to determine that what they're competing against isn't real, that it's not a real competition, and they're going to develop all these insecurities that they wouldn't have otherwise had because it's not a fair fight. And everyone's doing it. So how do you get rid of this? How do you get rid of this problem? And yes, young men have to deal with this as well. Like it probably manifests in slightly different ways because the beauty expectations for men is different than women. Like men aren't expected to be rail thin and have like a certain type like this unhealthy body shape. Like they're more expected to be. Hold on a sec.
Yeah, we're running into some issues, so I don't know who can hear me and who can't hear me, but
I'm
I know
still
that.
not getting any audio.
Yeah, unplug. Oh boy, fun to have some live issues. Unplug.
All right, maybe
Right.
it's a problem on my end.
Hold for technical issues. Can you hear me now? I'm guessing no. Thank you guys for joining. Can you hear me, James? Can you hear me? Nope. All right, looks like he is refreshing. Hang in there. This is a commercial break without commercials. It's a win-win. I can hear you. Can
All
you
right,
hear
I
me?
just had to close out and relog
All right.
in.
Well, welcome back. Welcome
Yeah, it's
back.
good to be back. I don't know what you said in the last 2 minutes.
That was our commercial break without commercials. No, I think we're basically making the same point. It's just that you missed mine, but you got a chance to deliver yours. So whoever heard us or didn't hear us, everybody is good. But I know what one of the things I was going to say though. You said it's more for it tends to be happening more for girls and younger girls. But I think I don't know whether it's chicken or egg here, but the filters tend to be more feminizing.
I think
So you would think, that either they're designed for women, so women use them, or they're designed in a feminine way.
So that women
men
will
are
use them.
so men are kind of turned off against.
I
using them.
think. Well, think about it like this: who, in general, who is judged based on appearance more, men or women?
Yeah, I mean, I think general conception, everybody believes that women have higher weight of looks.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's why women feel the pressure to look a certain way more than men, is because they're judged more for it.
Yeah. But I will tell you, when it comes to these filters, it is a lot of women from early teens into 20s and 30s. But I see a lot of men in their like 50s and 60s now adopting the filters. Very, very strange.
I haven't seen that. I can't say you're wrong.
Yeah, it's very weird. But people, when they feel maybe like their looks are slipping a little bit, or they get a little wrinklier. I actually get freaked out. A lot of these platforms automatically started putting masks and filters on them. I know TikTok did that, and it was really weird. I didn't like looking at myself with the filters. I'm used to like the sunspots and freckles on my face and the wrinkles. Like when they go away, I go, that looks very strange to me. So I wanted to add this note. I don't know if you read it about the metaverse and VR, but I think because what's happening is kids especially are spending so much time online and on social media platforms. That basically becomes your avatar, right? You need to have, as you spend more time online interacting with people, you have to have a virtual visual representation of who you are. And on a lot of platforms, it might be an emoji or a cartoon, or and you could play video games and you can choose to be a robot or an alien. But pretty soon they're going to have skins of yourself, right?
Yeah.
You do like
Mine's
a body
roll
scan.
of Scotch tape.
So that's my point. Like you've chosen some type of inanimate cartoon object. But I think
with the title "I Love Scotch."
Oh, that's good. But a lot of people, as the technology gets there, are going to want a 3D depiction of themselves. So your video game character, all you have to do is hold up your phone and then spin around 360 degrees, and then you can upload it. My question was, if you're now making yourself the virtual avatar, who's it going to be? Is it going to be you at 21 or you at 14 or 30 or 80? Because imagine you sign up for a platform at 14 and that's your avatar, but now you're 25 years old. You're going to want to update
I would
that.
imagine you could update it, but I have less of an issue with like people changing what their digital avatar looks like if you're going to be doing this whole VR thing, because at least everyone knows the VR is fully not real.
Well, that's as we stand in this transition. Everybody starting to use these platforms and everybody's starting to use these filters. I mean, I think it's very, very strange. People used to look different because of plastic surgery, not because they clicked a button on an app.
Yeah, and I feel like the and this will get into your plastic surgery statistics. Now, we don't have it by time, but I feel like plastic surgery has become more common among pretty much every demographic.
Oh, you know what? I had plastic surgery over time, and I never dropped that image, and I have since closed the window.
Oops.
So, fortunately, we don't get that one.
Well,
But
tell me what the trend was.
I mean, the trend is that plastic surgeries have gone up just year after year, giant bounds. So it's a pretty steep.
Okay, so plastic
curve.
surgery is more popular than ever.
Yeah. But
Why do you think that is?
yeah, because people want to look in reality like what they feel they, I don't know what they want to look like, I guess.
What
And
their
that's
filters make them
but
look
that's
like.
but that's influenced by seeing other people, right? And seeing
Yep.
other people that might have a more desirable look, a more desirable physical look. Now, you didn't used to see as many of these people because you only had reality to see. But now that you see the virtual world on Instagram and Snapchat, you see people that aren't real. And now you want to compete in the real world because for whatever reason, you feel that you have to compete with the fake world. But I will give you the top 5 plastic surgeries and then procedures. So, number 1, breast augmentation. Number 2, and this is in the U.S. Number 2, liposuction. Number 3, abdominoplasty. Number 4, a breast lift. And number 5, eyelid surgery.
That sounds painful.
Yeah. I actually think that might be the skin around your eye is like, you get a little more play there than you do kind of on the rest of your face. It's thinner. You could kind of, tuck it or snip it.
Yeah, I just don't like the idea of someone cutting my eyelids.
Right near your eyeball. Yeah, very, really weird. And then the top 5 procedures: Botox, number 1; hyaluronic acid, number 2. I think that's like to get rid of sunspots and to lighten your skin.
Okay.
Non-surgical fat reduction. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but it could be like red light therapy or something, for all I know.
It could be like that cryotherapy crap.
Cryotherapy, which when we had Dr. Lauren Chmielewski, the plastic surgeon on, remember that?
Mm-hmm.
She was saying that a lot of times that actually backfires, the cryo stuff.
Yeah.
Because your fat can actually become inflamed. And then hair removal, and then photo rejuvenation, which I'm not quite sure what that would be.
No idea. Like the only one on the procedures list that makes sense to me is hair removal. Like I could understand why someone would want to do like a permanent hair removal.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys that do it. I mean, guys are very hairy, so
like, I can totally understand that one. And I can totally understand liposuction.
yeah. So look, photo rejuvenation is a treatment that tackles redness and brown spots on the face with no downtime. It's a non-invasive procedure that makes your face look more youthful by removing sun damage, signs of rosacea, redness, pores, acne spots, things like that. I don't know exactly what it is, but I imagine it's like a light therapy. They shine light on your face.
Okay. You want to talk about some of the solutions that I've come up with?
let's see. Let me just run through your solutions right here. Why don't you run through those, and then I'll run through the body dysmorphia ones because I think
Okay.
there's a little more for body dysmorphia, but ultimately, I think what's happening is that people are developing body dysmorphia because they feel they need to look a certain type of way.
Yeah. I think when it comes to these filters and everything, I think the biggest problem is that it's not always obvious when they're being used. Now, sometimes it is, but for like when they're used more intelligently, then you can't really tell. And I'm going to go back to the chick in the mirror where like her belly just gets a little bit bigger as the filter shuts off. And that's one where like if you were to look at that beforehand, it would be really hard to tell that there was a filter there. Um, so I would say like any photos that have like filters or have been edited by Photoshop or whatever need to be labeled as such. And you just have like a pretty bright label at the bottom of the photo that says edited. I think you could even
That
go a step further and make it so that anytime you post a edited photo, it always gets paired with the original.
yeah, I don't think anybody's agreeing to that.
Yeah, but these are my solutions.
No, you know what Instagram used to do actually is they wanted you to take photos in the app. So what they would do is if you took a photo from out of the app and uploaded it, it would actually like dull down the resolution of that photo. So you could really easily tell photos that came from outside of the app. Not saying that even from the very beginning, Instagram gave you editing tools on your photos, but they did kind of discourage you from bringing in outside photos.
Yeah. Um, and
So,
so
but you want full transfer. So
I
you're,
and
I
yeah,
mean, you're asking for a lot.
and I could back off of it a little bit and say like you could be able to like on that warning label on the bottom, you could also like be able to click on it and it would be able to just say like the filters that were used. So like smoothing or shrinking or whatever they're called. I'm not on
Well,
these places.
even if it didn't label the photo, but it required the post to put like a little disclaimer at the very bottom that this photo may have been not even accusing it of being altered, but the photo may have been altered.
No. You just say this photo was altered using filters.
Well,
And you
sure,
like
but the thing is, people aren't going to agree to that, James. What
mm,
you might be able to get them agree to
no,
is
what I'm saying is that this is not something that you give people the choice to agree to. It's that like this is something that maybe like government needs to regulate social media and say, hey, social media platforms, if you guys want to keep on doing this crap, then by law, when you like when you post a photo, if a filter has been used, and it's not going to be perfect because you could put like you could go outside of the program and find a photo and edit it in Photoshop and throw it up there or whatever. But like any of these automatic filters that are in the app or whatever, you could just require and say, hey, if you guys want to continue to operate, then this is what you're doing.
again, I don't think that people aren't going to let that fly just because there's going to be way too much pushback on it.
I'm just saying
However,
like the
that,
users wouldn't like it, but if you make it so it's not a choice for the users to make.
but what I'm saying is how to make that happen is going to be people, and it's going to be people complaining, and there's no it's not going to happen. I think what's more realistic to happen are two things, and I'll give you the least realistic first. One is some type of disclaimer at the bottom of the post. I think that's something everybody could stomach. But number two is for users, say under 18 or under 16, uh, it would be easier to put it like for their accounts that to have some type of warning when an image has been altered.
I'll go one step further. Why not make it so that under age 18 you can't use filters?
But it's viewing the filters also. Right. But the thing is, I'm trying to say what is something that almost everybody can agree on. What you're saying is what is the best option. So we're having kind of parallel arguments, and we're not going to intersect.
I'm not necessarily saying that these are realistic in terms of their probability of being implemented, but I do think that they would make a big difference if they were.
Yeah, I completely agree with you because really what's happening is we're having a lot of depression from kids, a lot of body image issues from kids. Uh, so I want to talk real quick about treatment for body dysmorphia. I'll give you the clinical treatment, and then I'll just give you some general things that you can do on your own for anybody who feels that. And I think there's a decent amount of people that like it couldn't hurt to hear this stuff. But if you have real body dysmorphia, like you actually look at yourself in the mirror and you think you're fat and yet you weigh 98 pounds, then you obviously have a problem, and you've probably heard it from other people. But a couple of options. Actual clinical treatment could be medication, SSRI, which is selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. So you're actually on medication for that.
Those are antidepressants.
Yeah. Cognitive behavioral therapy. So helping you learn how to navigate your thoughts and emotional reactions and behaviors. Challenging automatic negative thoughts about your body. So when you got to recognize when you have a negative thought and it's automatic, you got to be able to recognize what's happening. Learning alternate ways to handle urges and rituals. So it's kind of recognizing, what's happening in your brain, and then teaching you other behaviors to improve your mental health. And then it can lead to hospitalization if you're not able to take care of yourself day to day or keep up with your regular responsibilities, or you run the risk of harming yourself. What's Raj saying?
Well, so Rosh has a comment, and then I've got a comment from my friend. He says a 5-year-old who weighs 98 pounds is fat. But so Rosh says, make a fake announcement that a giant comet is coming our way, and we're all going to die in a year. That way, people will really start embracing like what's truly important. And I'm going to go one step further, and let's make it a real comment.
Did you? Yeah, right. Did you see that movie? Don't Look Up.
No.
Oh, you got to see it. It's like very realistic about like there's an actual comet heading towards Earth, and basically the Trump administration is like.
No, I've heard enough about the plot that I feel like I've seen the movie.
Okay, so I want to give some lifestyle and home remedies for people that might feel like they have some body image issues. And if you have actually, that's going to start with people who have actually started to seek treatment, is sticking to the treatment plan. And this goes same thing for people with addictions. Like you have to actually commit to sticking to a plan. So if somebody has given you some therapy, you have to make sure you're staying on top of it. If you feel that you have some body dysmorphia, you want to learn as much as possible and educate yourself about the disorder so you can actually start moving in the direction of correction and treatment. Knowing what the warning signs are and paying attention to the warning signs, I think that is really important. If you don't know what the warning signs are, then you don't think anything of it.
Real quick, let's say hi to Shiharaba.
All right, Shahiraraba. Hello. And then
I want to know what her thoughts are on Instagram filters if she hasn't already weighed in, but keep on going.
Practice, learn strategies. So you got to actually start practicing, and then get active. Physical exercise can really help straighten your brain out, and it also happens to be very good for your body. And then lastly, avoid drugs and alcohol, because drugs can, well, if you're on the medication, alcohol can interfere with those, but it also fucks with your psychological.
Yeah, drugs just mess with your perception of reality. So if you're dealing with the problem of perceiving reality correctly, then drugs aren't going to help you.
Yeah, and a few more on the coping and support. Write in a journal. Don't isolate yourself. Take care of yourself by eating healthy and being active and sleeping well. Consider joining a support group. Stay focused on your goals. Learn relaxation and stress management. And don't make important decisions when you're feeling distress or despair. And I think that's a really important one, because a lot of people make rash decisions out of emotion. And sometimes you need some time to sit back and kind of collect the facts and think on things. So just, this is real stuff. This is real stuff that you hear a lot in the news about young kids and middle schoolers. Like there's people that commit suicide because of how they feel about themselves based off what they see on social media. And,
so what are your closing thoughts on this?
I think the closing thoughts are let's be aware of what's happening. Let's be aware of what you see online isn't reality. And you can't just assume that it is until proven that it isn't. you have to kind of assume that it isn't because you're looking at it on an app, right? You can't just assume that everything is reality unless it visibly looks like it's been retouched. The retouching software, the face, the masks, and the filters are so good you can't tell. So don't assume it's reality. You got to assume it's not. It's just, it's like looking at a magazine. It's not real. And then just be aware of yourself. Like learn about some of these disorders and monitor your social media usage and I think that's a big one. Is just monitoring your social media usage.
You know what just came to me?
What's that?
Off of what you were saying? So, education. Everyone takes like a health class when they're in school. Usually like 2 or 3.
I know where you're going with this. This is a good idea. Go ahead.
And so why not have in the health class maybe a week-long segment or some module where you go over this kind of stuff and they show you like these before and after pictures of people with filters and like models that have been photoshopped for Calvin Klein ads, but also like everybody's favorite influencer, and show what they actually look like and then what they look like in their filtered pictures, and say, here's how you can figure out whether something's a filter, and here's how you can see, like, here are some realistic images of what people actually look like, and see how different it is from these filters, and learn to understand that what you're seeing isn't real. Because if you don't have this thrown in your face of this isn't real, it's very easy to see how somebody, especially in their formative years when they're at prime insecurity, would think that people look this way.
Yes, prime insecurity is really where it flares up really, really bad. And when you look at what's that TV show with the Kardashians, being Kardashian or something, Live with the Kardashians? I don't know what it is. There's a Kardashian TV show, and what it attempts to do is give you insight on their real everyday life as a Kardashian. But even
that's not real.
Is not reality, right? Like they're presenting it to you as behind the scenes of their real life, and it's not. That's not what reality really looks like. These people don't wake up with makeup on. And I
would actually recommend everybody watch the episode from the South Park episode, The Hobbit.
You'll have to send it to me.
I will. Yeah.
But I mean,
it deals exactly with these topics and the Kardashians.
But
this entire episode rolled into 20 minutes and funnier.
But I think awareness is really big. Like, you just have to be aware of the problem. And I think anybody who has kids that are at the age where they're seeing some social media, you need to bring it to their attention, and you also need to be aware of what you're seeing online.
Yeah, Shahir Abba says that knowing about touch-ups and all those things and being able to identify it has definitely helped her. So
being able to identify it, yes, but it's very difficult to identify it now.
Yeah, but that just goes to, like, if you're not going to take my point about like putting these warning labels and showing the originals or whatever, at least teach people how to recognize it. I think on that note, we could probably wrap.
Yeah, I think we are good. So, I want to thank you guys for making it here. I want to thank Rash Galeb for feeding us your comments live, and on that, we can end this episode. Good. This is your idea, so thank you for this idea. We will see you all next time. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube and every audio podcast platform. Adios.
All right, laters.
See ya. That concludes this episode on social media. If you're watching us on social media, thank you for that. Make sure to interact with us in any way possible. It makes us feel good. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.
I like PBR. I just got priced out of it.